All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Nick Lauer. I am 19 years young. I run what is called the Short Form Empire. And what I want to do today is I want to talk to you guys more about how to make content to give, because I'm a firm believer that you get what you give. And also we're in an interesting time in the market of video marketing, at least, and content marketing, where the vast majority of people are making content just to get clients, get views, get numbers. That's all they want. And I'm a firm believer that if you put your energy towards that, you're not going to truly get what you should get, at least not in the right way. So real quick, what I'll do is I'll kind of go through my story so you guys get a better idea of this kid that is on Zoom with you guys. And then kind of give you some insights and secret sauce that I can share to you guys, and then really dive into what I've seen work, what is working, and how you guys can really separate yourself apart when you're making content. So 19 years old, I graduated high school last May. But when I was going into my senior year of high school, I started picking up the camera, just wanted to start something new, wanted to master my own craft. I went to high school in Murfreesboro, so it's a fairly big city. And I started filming at my high school, just little hype videos for fun, soccer videos, football videos. But the students and the athletes started to love it and it started to grow. And I just found a lot of pride and joy in helping my school and my community look better, but also present them in a way that no one really else could. So that started to grow, and it grew so much that the parents of the students and student athletes started to see it. And they're like, hey, what is this content? What is going on? I need some of that. I want it for my business. So at that point, I was able to actually monetize it, and I was filming random commercials for restaurants and all this stuff. It just happened so fast. I didn't know what was going on. And I was doing college during high school. I technically have 25 credit hours already under me, or at least I did in high school. And I was all about going to college and all about doing that whole thing. But as I started to scale so much during that duration, I just saw a whole nother world of how to exchange value, how to network, how to stand out. So I just kept taking risks and building myself, mastering my own craft. And fun fact, I was offered free college, a full ride, and $30,000 from MTSU, but I turned it down. They wanted me to be the head of the football media. Said, nope, I don't think that's what God has for me. I'm going to keep pursuing my own dreams and building my own thing. So last summer, I was like, what the heck do? I just turned down the biggest thing ever. Got to figure out how to make this happen. So a few months go by, it's like July of last year, and I had a football coach from my high school hit me up. He's like, yo, there's these NFL players in Nashville. They need help with content. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to hang out with NFL players every week, but what 18-year-old gets to do that? So I did that, and I asked them, I'm behind the scenes, like filming their podcasts, and I was giving as much as I could. I didn't want anything from it, which is going to tag along with what I'm going to talk about later. And I asked them one day, I was like, are you guys posting short form content for your podcast? They're like, what in the world is that? I said, I don't know, but I've seen it. Let's do it together. So I went through all their podcasts, found the funny moments, the controversial, the informative, whatever it may be. And I started clipping them up literally on my iPhone, learned from ground zero how to edit, the way that everyone else was. In 90 days, I took them from 3,000 followers to 100,000, and their ad revenue from $70 a month to $7,000. So right then and there, I was like, this is great. I'm going to leave you guys, and I'm going to figure out how to do this for everyone around the world. So took all the money I had, which was about $6,000 at the time. So I guess is decent for an 18-year-old. And I put it all into courses and consulting and mentoring. And I learned about social media marketing agencies, but at the time, short form agencies did not exist. Now today there's hundreds out there, but they didn't exist. So I couldn't go to one person and they show me the way. So I learned the foundations of social media marketing agencies, applied that, paid my own path, got my first client, got more clients, and the rest is history. Today, let's see, I started it last year. We've generated over 100 million views for podcasts, coaches, consultants, businesses, mortgage lenders, realtors, lawyers, literally anyone that has a personal brand. We've also been able to track hundreds of thousands of dollars generated through that. So that kind of brings us to today, and I'll jump into what you guys actually came for, and that's about making content to give. Now, before I jump into that, I really want to explain my perspective of content and specifically short form videos, since I've been in the game since it started. So the biggest thing is attention is the new oil. A year ago, wealth and power was derived from the oil industry. But today, the biggest companies, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Apple or all the companies running through there, even Sean's own mortgage, I don't even know what you call it, whatever Sean's doing, that as well. Attention is the new oil, because if he has your attention, he has your emotion, and he can sell you. So with that said, the best way to extract that oil is through content. And in my opinion, the best way is through short form content. And the reason being is because with short form videos, like even right now, this is not a short form video, but say you were watching one, you'd see my personality, you'd see my credibility if I was talking about a certain topic, and ultimately over time, you would see my authority within the niche. And you can't really do that in any other way of marketing, which is why I love short form videos. And this brings us to the best part. Your content is your billboard. I mean, think about it. You're advertising yourself every single day. Once again, your personality, your credibility, and your authority. So why in the world would you want to advertise like everyone else? So in today's day and age, as in 2023, a lot of people just make content, specifically short form videos on like, here's the 3 best ways to do this, and here's why you need me, and here's why my business is great. And that's good and all. You need that here and there. But at the end of the day, if that's all you post, 1, I think it's kind of selfish. And 2, I'm going to stop watching it. I'm probably going to go to your account, mute your stories, mute your videos, because I don't know. I don't want to hear about the same thing over and over and over and over again. Now, once again, I run a short form content agency, and to an extent, it's very low barrier. You could hire a team of editors, send videos back and forth. Anyone could really start one, but where it gets really difficult is when you start to offer more and scale it and all that good stuff. And the reason I say that is I coach like a lot of younger kids, 14-year-olds. They're making thousands of dollars a month through short form agencies. But a lot of kids are getting in it just to get money, which is fine to an extent. But when they make these short form agencies, they just make content to get. It's like, here's why you need my agency. Here's why you need captions on your video. Here's why my captions are the best. And the problem with that is, once again, your content's your billboard, but it's almost like your resume too. And when I look at their accounts, I'm like, in a year, 2 years from now, do you want someone looking at your account and just seeing like why you just want clients all the time? Or would you rather build out an account that shows your success, your failures, your adventures, and your journeys, right? You choose which one, because you might not be doing the same thing forever, but what you will be doing forever is living, and you can document that. So one of the biggest pieces of advice one of my mentors has given me this year is people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And that's like been super important for me as a 19-year-old selling high ticket and trying to get sales all the time. Is I can't just jump into a meeting and say, all right, here's what I do. Here's why I'm great. Here's the Stripe invoice. It's like, no, I have to slow down, think of where they are, where they want to go, and see if it even makes sense for me to come in. And that's the same concept you should do with your content. Is people, once again, don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And how you do that is by positioning yourself as a very personal and relatable figure. Relatable is the key part there. So how do we do that? Well, once again, it's fine to talk about your industry and what you're doing, but you have to sprinkle in a few pillars, and I got them written over here. So I think the biggest thing you can do to make content to give is talk about your failures. For my age, my life is a little bit different, a little bit more fast-paced, glamorous to some people. And I told myself before I started my journey, I will be successful, but I will not be a guru. I would never want to give off that, that energy and that aroma, because I want other kids to know like, hey, you can do it too. So one way that I've done this, and one way you guys can apply it, is talk about your failures. There was literally a day when I was 18, I lost $7,000 worth of clients. Now, I haven't talked about that in a video yet, but when I start talking about that and pushing it out there, my clients will see like, okay, he failed there, but look where he is now, and look where he's providing results now, and look how he's learning and how he's transforming his life and his agency and scaling it. Another thing I like to talk about is when I told you guys I went to my senior year of high school, picked up the camera, went through a lot, went through a heartbreak, first love. I'm sure you guys all know about that stuff. But also I was going through a chronic disease, autoimmune disease. I didn't know what was going on. So my life was just like really crashing. And I kind of talked about it, but I talk about it a lot now. Like, hey, you see where I'm at? Yes, somewhat successful, but this is what I went through. So there's one video on my Instagram. I think I posted it a few weeks ago. I was straight up like, hey, I went through a lot and I talked about it. And instead of talking about like, hey, here's why my agency is so great, I was like, here's how I failed before. This is all the traumatic things I went through. And I kid you not, I got like 5 DMs from people saying like, hey, I have a chronic disease too, and I've never told anyone ever. And I never would have gotten that. And they would have never told me if I just sat here and talked about how great I am and how great my journey is. So I think the biggest thing of making content to give is just about being relatable and having the right intentions. Because once again, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And they won't know how much you care until they see you as equal. And I think you should always position yourself as an expert in your industry, of course, but show people that you're human. So the biggest thing is showing your failures. I think another thing too is showing your success through content. That's completely fine because you're showing people that you are hitting benchmarks and you're growing. And really, success, I believe, is a reflection of failures because you have to fail multiple times to succeed. So start making content about your successes, but maybe you curate it in a way that talks about like, hey, I lost $7,000 at 18, but fast forward to 7 months later, I'm selling $12,000 packages, $30,000 packages to multi 8-figure brands. So you can position it that way to show your relatability. I think a lot of you guys might know who Alex Hormozi is. He's honestly like the father of short form videos because what he did is he just sat down and just started talking about his journey and his favorite restaurants and like everything. And I think he's a really good person to model. Of one reason is he's a multimillionaire and he literally just sits here in his tank top and the thing over his nose, and which is kind of weird. You don't really see that. But the reason he does that is because it kind of, when we consume his content, it makes us think like, oh, he's just like me and he likes Chipotle as well. And he went through this and that. And people are more likely to trust him because that's what it's about. Even if you're trying to make content to give, the end goal is ultimately to get something out of it. And you have to do it by positioning yourself as someone relatable. So not only document your failures and your success, document different journeys, document your day-to-day. Like Jordan, you work out all the time. Who's to say he doesn't post a video like, what's going on, guys? Headed to the gym, not feeling the best, showing that he's human, but I'm going to knock it out and I'm going to do my best. And I'll show you guys, what's the end result. Who knows? Maybe someone's feeling just like him. I just got back from Miami yesterday, so I'm completely out of it. So I'm probably feeling just like him today. And seeing that video was like, oh shoot, I feel just like him, but he's going out and crushing it. And I'm going to go out and crush it today. Now, if he made content where he was like, what's going on, guys? Like, I'm just going to crush it today. For those of you that are in bed, like, I'm sorry, but I'm better than you guys. Like, if you position it like that, I would have been like, dang, he's right. Like, I just want to stay in bed. Why should I even get up? So I think ultimately it really just comes down to a paradigm shift. It's not like some magical formula of like you input this wording and say this and you get content that gives. It's really about a paradigm shift and shifting your mindset of like, how can I make people better out of the videos you make or the videos that I make? So another thing that you can do, I don't know what industry all you guys are in, but the biggest thing I like to do and tell my clients is like, hey, make testimonials. Whether you're a gym coach or a mortgage lender or whatever, you can make testimonials. Now, the cool thing about testimonials is you'll probably get from it, which is fine, but you're making content that's showcasing someone that went from A to B and you help them get to their desired outcome. So not only are you giving value of like, hey, here's Nick, he wanted to lose 30 pounds and he got there, or here's Nick and he needed a mortgage and he got there. You're showing your expertise, but you're also showing that you're helping take people from pain to purpose. And that's what I've done through my whole career. Even if it was starting in high school, I was taking people from pain to purpose. I was getting their talent out there, which helps scouts see it more. I was getting their parents' businesses out there, which was getting them more business. And now when I make content, sometimes it's about content and going viral and all that stuff, but it's usually more about my life and my journey. And that way I can help people go from pain to purpose. So when you do make content, try to keep the mindset of going from pain to purpose, or trying to get people to go there. One that I really like, which is probably my favorite, is collaborations. I don't think you can really make content where you get out of collaborations. So some of you guys might know a lot about the UFC, maybe not. One of the biggest collaborations I did recently was with Michael Chandler. He's here in Nashville. Now, I could have used that video with Michael Chandler to get clients. I could have been like, hey, Michael, what are your thoughts on a personal brand and why should people use it? And he could have been like, personal brand gets you more sales and stuff. And I could have ran that as an ad and probably got hundreds of thousands of dollars from it, and obviously given him some. But what I did was I said, hey, Michael, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs out there that want to be great, that want to be successful, but they don't know where to start. Where do they start? And he talks about his journey and his success and his failures. So collaborations is a big one. I plan on collaborating with some realtors and some lenders and stuff like this. And I'll probably ask them about their journey, and I'll probably ask them about a personal brand. But it's really cool to get different experiences and different point of views and all these different things to grow your profile as well. Because when you're making content, people can really, really see if you're trying to get or not. Because the reason I think that is because they'll probably swipe away, right? So I didn't plan on doing this, but I want to dive into what I always tell my clients is when you're making content, there's different content pillars you can follow. There's tons of them, but the best ones that you can do is educational. Now, educational is not really going to be specific to everyone. You're just educating a wide audience, and you can do that. And when you do that, for the most part, you're giving your time, you're giving your energy, and you're giving your expertise and knowledge on a said topic. Now, educational is one of them. Second is value driven. Now, value driven would be for a specific niche. If I talked about how mortgage lenders could grow through content, yes, that's education for everyone, but it's valuable for a said niche. So education is broader, valuable is more straight to the point. Another one, like I said, is testimonials. Whether it's a testimonial of one of your clients or one of your business partners or just someone random on the street, getting some type of testimonial and diving into people's experiences and lives, it doesn't get better than that. That's why a lot of us, when we see street interviews on like TikTok or Instagram, especially if they're like actually wholesome, we really watch those through because we like to see what they've gone through and where they're trying to go. So you have educational, you have value, you have testimonials, collaborations. And I think the best way, if you really want to soft launch into trying to get content to give, is do some type of podcast. And a podcast doesn't have to be where you sit down with this mic and have this crazy setup. You could literally just get on Zoom with one of your friends like this and just start talking. And if you have that mindset and paradigm shift, if I'm just going to have a conversation and I'm not going to strategically say things to get clients out of these videos, then you'll be solid. I was just in Miami. I did 2 podcasts. One was with one of my friends. He's a 23-year-old agency owner. He runs a paid ad agency. They do over 7 figures a year. Another guy I met with, he's with like the biggest of names that my generation would know of, like Luke Belmar, Iman Gadji. Some of you guys probably never heard of them. But he's with them on yachts and hangs out with them, and he's, did very well in e-commerce. And the difference between them is with one of them, and I'm not going to say which one, just in case they watch this, one of them was really down to earth and was just like, yeah, man, when I started my journey, I was failing and I lost this many clients and this and that. And he's starting to clip that and post it. And once again, his clients or potential clients or even friends are going to see like, all right, he's human. He doesn't have an ego and he's relatable. Now, there was another guy that was just talking about like why he's so great and why he's made so much money and why his mindset is the best and why he has the best, group of friends, and you probably won't get here because all that stuff. And there's a big difference and a big energy shift in both of those. So my biggest advice really is to just like evaluate and try to have that paradigm shift of how can I sit here and help someone? We all know what it feels like to be helped, or at least to be invested into. And I don't think it gets better than that. Like that, everyone wants that, right? They want to feel loved. They want to feel relatable. And ultimately, like you guys know with Sean, they want to have some type of hope. They want to know that they can get there too, or that they felt that too. So really, and I don't know if you guys wanted to hear this, but make content to give really comes down to opening yourself up, being vulnerable, and being authentic. I haven't gone too much into like Sean's content, but I'm sure there's multiple times where he's, talking about something that has failed, or how he doesn't agree with something in a said industry. That is really where it comes down to. Now, I'm going to shamelessly plug here, but when it comes to making your short form videos, it's very important to stand out once again, because your content's your billboard, with the way you edit your videos. Because I could sit here and talk about like, here's the 3C method of growing your content. And if I just sit here and have nothing engaging on the video, you're probably going to scroll away. So people ask, like, is there some type of formula to go viral? Yes, there is, but no, there's really not. And the reason I say that, and once again, we've generated over 100 million views, is when you make content, it has to be engaging. Once again, content to give. You're giving entertainment to people, which education and value might be a byproduct of it. So when you make your content, and this is just some secret sauce, or you guys might know some of this, you have to have a very strong hook. The first 3 to 5 seconds is very important because our attention spans are very, very, very short. So the first 3 to 5 seconds is vital. That's how you'll go viral, I can promise you, if you have a strong hook. So instead of me saying like, here's the 3 ways that I've failed in my agency, blah, 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 I'm going to start it with, I was 18 years old and I lost $7,000 in one day. You have to start shifting your content in a way that is very captivating. Who's this 18-year-old that lost $7,000 in a day? I want to keep watching. Now, the second thing to make valuable content and content that'll go quote unquote viral is you have your strong hook, and then you don't have to have necessarily bullet points within your video, but you do need to have climaxes. So I lost $7,000 in a day. Here's what I learned. Here's what I lost. Here's what I gained. Those are like different climaxes within the video. And you don't have to have a call to action. It's up to you. It depends on what you're trying to do with the video. But I always like to use this example. Most of us have scrolled on TikTok or Facebook, and you've probably seen like some type of prank video, or a video that's like a clip from a movie. It blows my mind because every single time those have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of likes and views. And it's like, why are these things going viral on a short video platform? Doesn't make sense. Well, it's the perfect example of how to go viral. First and foremost, when you're watching a prank video, you usually know that it's a prank video because they usually show the reaction in the beginning and then show everything building up to it. Or you can just tell, it's like some guy around the corner filming and the guy's going up to the other guy to prank him. And you're like, oh, I know what's about to happen. So you're already hooked into the video, and you watch all the way through because typically the reaction is at the end. Well, what the algorithm does is it detects that you watched the video, you watched it past 3 to 5 seconds, and you watched it all the way to the end. Now, who doesn't like a good laugh, a funny moment, whatever? So usually with prank videos, we like it, we comment, we tag our friends, our family, our moms, or our children, whatever it may be, and we tag them. Not only that, we want more people to see it, so we share it. So what the algorithm likes, and this is for short form videos, for those of you that make short form videos, is it likes a long average view duration. So once again, if you're watching all the way through the video, it loves that, especially if you rewatch it multiple times. Not only that, is it loves engagement on the videos, which is likes, comments, and shares. And that is ultimately the best formula for virality. And the reason I told you guys all that is, one, I wanted to give you maybe some insight that you didn't know. But two is, once again, is you can curate content to give, but also curate it where it goes viral. Now, my most quote unquote viral clip I posted like maybe 2 months ago. And it was just a small podcast I did. I set up a camera in my apartment, had someone else here, and we sat down and I talked about dropping out of college. Now, I didn't say I dropped out of college and like now I'm, so successful and this and this and that. And no, I said, I graduated high school. 2 days later, went to college orientation, knew I didn't want to go. So I did whatever it took to get there, did this and that, and finally landed my first client. I didn't say a word about money. I didn't say a word about any of this stuff. I curated it in a way that was like, hey, I'm human. This is what I chose to do. I chose this risk, and this is where it got me. They didn't know that maybe my agency failed after that, or maybe I made whatever it may be. And it right now is at 712,000 views organically. Now, the reason it's at that, and I'm a firm believer it's at that, is because one, the first 3 to 5 seconds was straight up like, I graduated high school, then went to college orientation, said I had 60 days to do whatever it takes. There's a huge audience right now that relates to that. They don't want to go to college. They want to do something great. And they're probably curious as to why is this kid still not in college? How did he get there? So once again, they watched all the way through. And I wish I had the analytics up, but there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of shares and saves and likes. And once again, the algorithms like that, and it pushes it out to more people. So with all that said, I did not once say in there like, hey, my agency's so great, and hey, I'm so great because I dropped out of college. I said, no, like I'm human. I didn't want to go, and I did whatever it took. So you can go viral if that's your goal. You can go viral when you're making content to give and not content to get. Real quick, that was kind of a lot of information all at once. Does anyone have any questions? You can either ask it out loud or put them in the chat. And I'd be more than happy to kind of build off of them real quick.
What were the 3 pillars of content creation?
Yeah, I'll give you more than 3. So value is the one that is like very specific. You know that a target audience will be better off when they're watching that. So that's value. The second is educational. Educational is very basic. I could talk about content or talk about, the broadcasting alert that everyone got on their phone yesterday. That's just education, educating people. Then there's also testimonials, whether you're getting a testimonial from one of your clients or your business partner, or really, like me going on the street and asking someone about their success story. That's a form of testimonial. So you have educational, value, testimonial. And I didn't really touch on this, but entertainment is one. And educational, value, and entertainment, they all kind of are related. But entertainment is straight up just content that is you're not going to get anything out of it but some laughs or people that are really engaged and intrigued of what you're doing. So for me, I guess an idea I have right now is there's a realtor that I want to collab with here in Nashville. And I want to make a video of like, hey, what does a day in the life with this realtor look like? Or what does a day in the life of this lender look like? And that's just going to be entertainment for people. Another form of content is podcast as well. And that's kind of more of like a chill, relaxed content strategy. And I'll be honest with you guys, that's where I've seen the most views and results. Literally out of that 100 million views, one of my clients, it was that first podcast, 42.5 million short views were generated in those 90 days. So they're about 42% of all the views we've generated. And it was only podcasts, literally just them sitting down, talking about something funny, talking about something serious, and getting different backgrounds. They brought on a lot of different guests. So those are different content pillars you can apply. There's also, I didn't talk about this, there's a method that I like to preach to people and that they can apply to their content. It's called the 3 C's method. And what that means is first, you have to be creative. Once again, your content is your billboard. So don't advertise like everyone else, whether that's your editing style. And that's why I'm big with my agency. The biggest value we provide is any editing style, whatever you want, however you want it, we provide it, because your content's your billboard. You need to stand out. So be creative with your content, whether it's through your editing styles, through your collaborations, through your stories, whatever it may be. Not only that, you need to be consistent. And I do a really bad job at this. I'll be like true with you guys. I am not good at being consistent. that is because I'm building different courses and I have YouTube channels and agencies and all that stuff. And I could be doing it better at that. But be consistent, because remember, let's say you funnel someone in from your content, from those collaborations, from those podcasts. The more you push out content, the more you're continually nurturing them. It's almost like planting a seed, going out in a field and planting a seed. I make a video, let's say I make a video talking about how I can grow realtors' personal brands, and I push it as an ad on my main page. What's that gonna do? It's obviously gonna hit that target demographic through my ad. It's gonna funnel in a lot of people to my account. Now, not every single one of them are gonna convert, but some of them may follow. And those are seeds that I planted. Now imagine when I planted those seeds and I've captured those people, I don't post ever again, like not even for 3 months. They're gonna just sit there and probably fall off. But if I bring them into my ecosystem and I start pushing out more content of interviews with realtors, or asking about realtors' failures, or talking about my failures, they're going to be continually nurtured. And you never know if there's that one thing you talk about or one video that they could relate to completely. That might happen. And that's where the real magic happens, is once again, they're looking at you as equal and looking at you as a trustworthy figure, a personal figure, and a credible figure. So that's okay. So creativity, consistency, and then the last part, which is super important, and it bothers me when people don't do it. One, because I'm young and have a short attention span, but it's conciseness. When you make content, especially short form videos, you got to get to the point. You can't just sit there and be like, hey, so today I'm here sitting here talking to this crowd, and these are the 3 things I learned about going out on the street. Like, you have to get to the point. Those first 3 to 5 seconds are vital, because if you don't have that conciseness at the beginning, people are not going to watch through. And why would you waste your time having a super long intro when no one's going to watch the rest of it? So if you do start making short form videos, I would advise you do be creative with it, be consistent, and be concise. Any other questions off of all that stuff?
Yeah. Hey, Nick, by the way, thank you so much, man. And your
course.
parents must be super proud of you. I got a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I wish they were driven like you. Maybe they will be soon. That being said, collaborations, I'm having a tough time on collaborations because I'm trying to understand, like, okay, if you're a mortgage lender, what would you be collaborating about? Or are you collaborating with agents? Are you collaborating with, a different trade? Like, can you give me an idea of how that works?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you the broad answer and then I'll jump into it. You can collaborate with anyone you want. And I know that's not what you want to hear. You can collaborate with literally anyone. Now, to give you a better answer, what I would do, okay, so the big reason I preach collaboration is because it's about cross-pollinating. My goal is to get as many people to see my account as possible. Like, I was just in Miami, and that's why I did multiple podcasts, because I want different people and different audiences always coming to my account. So the goal with collaborations ultimately is to get cross-pollination, but also to cross-pollinate different types of value. So as a mortgage lender, I don't know the industry too much. I do have a lot of clients that are mortgage lenders, but what I've seen work best is, one, you can collaborate with your team, make content with your team. And what that's going to do is really going to show you that you are a person that loves to work with other people, and you are a communicative figure. It's not all about you. It's about growing together, growing with the team. So you could create videos. They don't have to be super serious. You could have just fun videos of, like, here's what it's like to work with the team. Here's what, maybe my team gets annoyed with about me, whatever it may be, but make it funny. So it's just about being creative with those collabs. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now and plan on doing for a while is I'm literally collaborating with anyone. I collaborated with the next up and coming music artist. She's not very well known, but she's growing really well. And we just sat down and I asked her, I was like, what is it like to be on tour with that Mexican OT, which apparently is up and coming too, not big into all that stuff. But I just asked her, like, what is that like? And what happened is we cross-pollinated on it. I think that video got like 20,000 views, which was decent. We cross-pollinated. Her audience saw me asking the question, Then they went to my account and saw what this kid was all about. But also my audience founded a new artist that they liked. So that's really what it was about for me. I did one did one with Michael Chandler. That honestly wasn't to get anything. That was just to give value and show my younger audience and demographic that whatever they want to do, they can do too. Once again, the realtors lined up. I have all these different collaborations lined up that are in different industries. I think a big collaboration you can do, which would be a testimonial, would be with your client. Ask them like, hey, what was your experience like? How did we get them from A to B? You can collaborate with them on that. But if you wanted to be very strategic about it, I would honestly look within your network and look at different names and see what type of influence they have and collaborate with them so you can get that cross-pollination. And I know I just preached about making content to give, but at the end of the day, if you position that video where you are giving value, once again, you get what you give. So if you're pushing out authentic and relatable value, the universe is more likely going to give you some followers, give you some engagement in return, if that makes sense.
Nick, I have a question for you about your podcast.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance just meeting you today. I was trying to grab my phone and do some research, but it sounds really interesting. There are some podcasts that I follow and listen to, mostly mortgage related, because that's what I do, and, sales prompts and things like that. But it sounds like I'm anxious to look at some of your stuff. It sounds like it's just, think of like a specific topic, a specific audience. It sounds like it's just everything. It's just such a broad range it's just about relationships, right? Tell us more about that.
Yes. So I don't have an actual podcast yet. I'm about to start one. So this stays between me and 24 other people. So I'm about to start a podcast called the Called Hire Podcast. The reason I'm doing that is because, yes, I have an Instagram. I also have a YouTube. But my target demographic is literally 18 to 24-year-olds. I barely have anyone else outside of that. And I have 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, or kids in their teens looking at my journey and saying like, okay, this kid has shown his journey. And I feel called higher too. Because once again, it goes back to when I went through all that stuff before going into my senior year of high school, is I went through all that stuff. I was at my lowest, but that emptiness sparked purpose. And I was like, I want to be great. I never want to feel this low ever again. So I felt called higher. And I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't know how to get there. And how I got there was through plugging in different things, plugging in books, plugging in YouTube videos. But I still was kind of lost. Like I really didn't know where to go. So what I want to be is that outlet for the younger generation, maybe for older generation as well, where they can go to the podcast and they can just see this kid, as in me, talking to NFL players, talking to UFC fighters, and even talking to people that no one really know, and hear different journeys and different demographics and failures and successes, because maybe it resonates to them. Only 19, yes, I've experienced some, but I've not experienced a lot, especially compared to you guys. So what I can do is I can bring in these other people, and now I'm plugging into them, which is plugging into my audience, and now I can extract that value, which I never had. So that's what I plan on doing. I'm just very OCD about how that's going to be structured, so I'm still working on it. But to kind of go back to what you were saying, what I'm doing now for my personal brand, and I think my Instagram was in the email or something, so you can check it out, is I'm really just sitting down and, like you said, listening about everyone's journey, right? I was talking to Michael Chandler, talking to these artists, going to be talking with realtors. I have a very big network. I could talk to Nashville SC players if I want. And once again, it's just to get different people's journeys to help people plug into that. So right now, when I make content, very rarely is it actually about content, because I believe I've been structuring it in a way that's just going to funnel people in. They'll be like, what the heck is this kid doing? Oh, he runs a short form video agency. But also, if you think about it, when I am producing this content, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm pushing out short form videos, which is what we produce. If that makes sense. I don't know. I was kind of all over the place with that one.
No, I like it. I think you're talking about it's something that's really relatable actually for any age. Talking about your journey to success, and we all think once you get there, you're never going to lose it, but it can be a roller coaster at times. And I think that'll be really interesting, actually. I again, podcast always, the idea of having one, especially if you're a realtor or a lender on here, it's going to get boring after a while, right? I mean, talk about, it can be very dull, and you're going to attract people, for a short time period in their lives, and then, they'll probably move on. But just including, every occupation and, whether someone took a traditional journey through college or they're an entrepreneur. Yeah, I think that's great. I was wondering where you were going with that, but you were, on podcasts for now, and that's kind of inspired you.
Yeah, and you actually brought up a great point that I can't believe I brought up yet. So I just now started kind of flying around with clients. It's very rare that I do it, and I'm actually working on a deal right now that's in the Middle East. That's pretty much all I can say about it. But the clients that I have right now that fly me around are very big clients. The one that I'm thinking of is they run a vacation home rental franchise that's growing 300% a year. And they're like, how do we make content that is targeted towards multimillionaires that are buying properties and running, so we can run vacation homes out of them? Let me plug in my computer real quick so you guys don't lose me. And I was like, that's a very good question, because their target demographic is probably not sitting on TikTok and scrolling. So to maybe give you guys a better idea of what you can do is, I told them, I was like, listen, you could sit in front of a camera, say, here's the 3 reasons why you need to buy our land, whatever it may be. Or what if we get you guys on a podcast and you bring in your clients, you bring in your team, you bring in all these different people and just have organic, natural conversations. So that's what we did. Put them in a room for 6 hours. They brought in their team, they brought in their clients, all this stuff. And we got content out of that. Not only that, and this is kind of more extreme, but I put a microphone on one of my clients and I followed him to his meetings, and I followed him to like coffee meetings. And the way that I capture those conversations, you just will not get over a video where he's sitting at a camera. So the reason I say that is just like, try to think of like conversations you have. Like even right now, I'm filming for my YouTube over here, but these segments that I'm going to clip are going to be a lot more engaging and organic, rather than if I sat here and was just like, here's how you do the 3 C's method, all that stuff. So once again, the reason I bring that up is it is very difficult. You don't always want to talk about mortgage and all that different stuff. Like me as a 19-year-old consumer, I'm probably going to scroll away because I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm just renting all the time, which is apparently you guys aren't a big fan of that. I apologize. But anyways, it's like you have to, once again, start talking about some success and failures and just organic conversations. One mortgage lender client that I have now, I go in there and we do some forced content where he's talking to the camera. But what I'm really going to push is like, hey, let me put a mic on you, talk to your team. I'll be to the side documenting it, and then we can get that more raw reaction. So Kathy, how do I see the coaching packages you do? Can you elaborate on that? Because fun fact is with my agency, once again, we edit for dozens of clients. Some clients I help with strategy, but also once again, I am teaching like teenagers and the younger generation of how to build their own short form agency. So I have a lot of different coaching things around there.
I think more strategy is what I would be looking for. If you do any, like what you do with that. I'm in real estate.
Okay. So fun fact, a lot of my clients are realtors, especially in Nashville. We actually have a very solid one in here as well. And I need to answer your text. That reminds me. So technically I do have coaching packages. Typically what I do, just to save us all time and so we can, utilize it to the best of our ability, is I close people on editing packages and then I upsell to like consulting calls. So say someone buys a 10 edit package. Sometimes that's a month's worth of content for someone. Sometimes that's 2 months. And then we can have like hour calls within it as well. Thanks, Jordan. Where we kind of dive in like, do you need help with what type of content to make? Do you need help with planning strategic collaborations, and we kind of jump to that, if that answers your question. And if your kids are contemplating college or like wanting to start some type of entrepreneur journey, I will say this: try to push them to get into content. And I'm not saying this to sell anything. I've had so many clients of mine where they look at me and they're just like, what the heck? Like, how can my son or my daughter get there too? And I've been able, just through a couple calls and texts, been able to at least plant seeds and direct them. I think of one of my clients that runs a nonprofit. He's like, yeah, my kid, he's not the smartest. He's like, I'll admit it. And he really doesn't want to go to college, and he just wants to jump into a trade, which is great, and he'll get good money. But like, he's kind of into like making stuff and creating. And the reason I love being in the content industry is because whether you give me a video or you give my team a video, or I go out and film something and make something out of it, no one can replicate it ever. And the reason being is because it's just through my creative juices and creative vision. So I will say, if some of your kids like want to get into something new or try something, I would try to push them to something with content, because what it does, or at least what it did for me, is it really helped them realize that like, hey, they have some sort of talent and creativity, and they'll continually build off of it. When I started my journey, my first video was a soccer video, or my first professional video was a soccer video for my high school. I used one of my friend's camera that barely worked. Like, the glass was literally broken. I would have to shake the camera to move the glass out of the way. And I just took what I could. I captured what I saw. Then I went back and I put all these pieces together. I think it's just a very beautiful thing, and it helps like grow our, at least these younger generations' mind, and see that, you know, you can make something with whatever you want, and no one can replicate your vision. So I don't know, just throwing that out there. And I do have a YouTube channel where I have documented kind of my journey, but I also teach about, you know, how to build a short form agency. But there's just really foundational things in there of like, how can a teenager network? How can they understand, you know, what a lifetime value of a customer is, or how to provide value, or how to, you know, sell. So just wanted to throw that out there as well, because I've had a lot of adults be like, hey, how can my son or daughter do this? One question I do get, and I know we only have like 10 minutes, is, should I script my videos? Should I not script them? Should I make bullet points? That's something I'm still figuring out to this day. And the reason I say that is it really comes down to what you're best at. If you can formulate, if you're really good with creative writing, which I am, because I help my clients with, you know, creative strategies and writing their scripts sometimes. If you're good with that, then I would write out a whole script. And what I do is I have like either my notes right here, or I don't have a teleprompter. Some people do, or like my phone to the side. I memorize the line, look at the camera and say it, and do it back and forth. Some clients, they have just bullet points of like, okay, I want to talk about the market crashing. I want to talk about, you know, mortgage rates. I want to talk about, you know, the call to action. They have these bullet points and just talk to the camera. And some people just talk just to talk. And not all of us are good at that. And also keep in mind too, not all of us are good at talking to the camera. I would advise trying to grow that. But if you can't, you don't have to always make short form videos. I'm just biased about that because that's what my agency does. But Canva graphics don't hurt. You could always do a Canva graphic and then swipe, and there is a video talking about it. But I would just keep all of that stuff in mind of when you are creating your videos. It's okay to have a script. It's okay to read off of some things. But natural conversations are good as well. Not all of us will go viral. Some of us are blessed to go viral. But realize, especially, and I have to explain this to my clients a lot, like, listen, not once does it say that I am a paid ads agency. I am a short form video agency that helps you grow organically. Yes, I will be praying and do my best that you get views, but I cannot promise that. So I want to tell you something, guys, that might be super helpful. And this is on Instagram, at least. When you're building out your page, pushing out videos, once again, they don't have to be very forced. They don't have to be very salesy. They can be, just don't make it like that all the time. Make content to give. Now, when you build it out, I honestly would check and see what's performing the best and why. Is it because of the hook? Is it because I collaborated with someone? Is it because I talked about something else? And then what you do is start posting a little bit more about something similar to that. And literally, guys, what you can do, it does not hurt. It is not against the algorithm, whatever, is you can go on Instagram and you can boost your reel. You can drop like $10 a day for 10 days and get like thousands and thousands of impressions. It does not hurt at all. You can do it. And I've done it a few times. And the way it would look like for me is like, let's say I post some of these interviews, but then I post a video where I'm like, hey, your attention span sucks and you need to have quality edits and you need to have stronger hooks. And I have some type of call to action that's like, go through my content and follow me. I'm probably going to put paid advertisement on that, because what's going to happen is, once again, is this video is going to be pushed to a specific demographic if I let it, or I can let Instagram choose, and it's going to capture this target audience, and they're going to come to your account and they're going to look at this past organic content and they're going to be nurtured by it. And then when you start pushing more organic, they're going to be nurtured even more and even more. And I have some people that are like, once again, they're against like using a paid strategy because they think it's not authentic. I'm like, listen, I run a paid or an organic agency where we don't run ads for our client. And I'm not opposed to paid ads at all, or paid content, because once again, as you're forcing your post towards that target demographic, and you never know what could happen down the road when you're continually nurturing through these different content pillars. So I would just keep that in mind. I'm sure we all have 50 to $100 to drop, maybe one day if we want. So I would really look into that and push it on a specific video, and you'd be really surprised what could come out of it, whether it's the followers, the likes, or even like, hey, you do mortgage lending? Like, tell me more about that. And last thing, and once again, if you have anything you want to ask me, drop it in there. Very last thing is, I'm aware that my service is like very high in demand. Everyone needs it. And it is low barrier, but at the same time, I get so many leads through my content. Once again, I know everyone needs it, but if I was doing it wrong, I wouldn't be getting the leads. I would say every month I probably add 1 to 2 clients from TikTok. I don't have a big following there. It's just people go on there typing short form content, short form agency, short form edits, and they see mine. But my Instagram too, I get so many clients every single month. In fact, last month, 70% of my clients I onboarded, which was like maybe 12, were either referrals or inbound. Not once was it outbound. And the reason being is the way my page was structured. Yes, there was some content that was forced, but some content that was like, hey, I'm human, I've failed. Oh, you have a chronic disease? My son has it. Or, oh, you lost this? I lost that once. And it just helped people be more relatable with me. So with everything that I just said, I wanted to tie it into that is, 1, make content to give. Those are the different ways you can do it. 2, if you want to force it by dropping $100, do it. I'm rooting for you. Like, get your content out there to that specific audience, because truth of the matter is not all of us are going to go viral, especially if we have a quote unquote boring industry, or just the message isn't always there for someone. So I would definitely push it as well. And then if you don't do short form videos and you want to get into it, trust me, it takes time. If you go on my YouTube, which please don't go back to that first video, but if you go back to that video and you see me talking, and it's awful. It's like, I didn't even know how to talk to people in general. But it takes time. It really takes time to grow and build that confidence, and you're gonna fail and you'll probably cuss at the camera a few times. Don't worry, I'll clip it out for you. But it's all part of the process. So just keep pushing, and you'll build a content empire in no time. So that's all I got for you guys. I talked a lot, talked very fast. So any last thoughts, just let me know. If not, we'll all go our own ways and hopefully make content that provides value to people.